Right now, I have to stop saying.
That's the cue that says, if Luds is ready, we're all ready. But he may not actually be ready. This is the DLLS Stars Pregame Show. You know who else is struggling with being ready right now? The Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's get into it. Talk to Sam. And, of course, it's like the Cowboys are here. So let's talk about it on DLLS.
Listen to this one, motherfucker.
Good evening, everybody, or good late afternoon. It's the DLLS Stars Pregame Show. We have Craig Ludwig. We have myself, Owen Newkirk. We have our producer, Ryan Vodders, a.k.a. The Shaft now. They were adding a "the" in the chat.
The Shaft?
The Shaft.
Oh, the Shaft.
Was from,
that was
from Friday night.
Change it to the Shack.
You want to call him Shack?
What do you call him? Love Shack.
Ooh, I actually like Love Shack. That's kind of fun.
That'd be by the Bengals, I believe.
Nope. Try again. B-52s.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, close. The Bengals were the walk like an Egyptian. Am I right?
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we should ask Sam. Sam doesn't know any of this, right? Sam Nestler over at the AAC. That's exactly why we should ask Sam. There he is. Oh, he's doing
making an appearance.
He's doing the Chris
I didn't know
Collinsworth slide in.
There was no warning there. That was just, and I also burnt my tongue really bad. So I'm here now.
The slide in is actually kind of funny. I had no warning is you knew when the show started.
Unintentional slide in, but I will take it. I'll get to it next time.
Sam, do you know who the B-52s or the Bengals are?
No.
Okay.
A band. I think. You were talking about music.
Yes. Very good. That's you win. That's why we didn't ask Sam.
I told you.
All right, Sam, let's get right to it. Dad's trip. I was talking to Luds because I had heard that the Dad's trip was to Detroit, and I went, really? Only one game? Usually it's two. Now we know why.
Yeah, the Dads were here today. They said they wanted to do a one game. It's kind of an easy, quick trip here. So they do one game at home tonight against the Maple Leafs. And then they'll go on the team plane tomorrow. I don't know yet whether they're going to practice or not, but they'll fly tomorrow to Detroit and play in Detroit Tuesday night right before the holidays. So really fun. The Dads were around the rink today, going in the room, watching morning skate. I think saw Jason Robertson's dad, which obviously is a kind of a cool one for him to have both Jason and Nick playing in tonight's game. But it was a really cool vibe. And then we were in the media room talking to Glenn Gulletson. He was saying it's not just special to play in front of your dad. It's also your dad is the one who was the honest coach for you, right? The one you really wanted to skate hard for when you were a younger kid. The one you knew, even if you scored one goal, he might ask you why you didn't score that second one. He's your coach in your mind. And as he's saying that, I look to my right and Eugene, Glenn Gulletson's dad, is sitting next to me, putting the pressure on Glenn for the media availability. So it was just a fun morning and good to have them all around.
And he's absolutely right, because that happens constantly when kids play games. Then they get that post-game breakdown with their folks, especially their dads. And for you as a youth coach of your U18 team, the last thing you want to do is have your team's parents break down games with their player afterwards. It's like, hey, support.
You mean their kid?
Yeah. Support them, encourage them, be there for them. Let us be the coaches. But in U Sports today, that does not happen.
No.
Yeah, and they were. Go ahead, Luds.
No, I don't even want to get going. So you.
I knew that was.
I'm sitting here, and I've got our game on right now, Sam. They're playing out in Phoenix. And so I don't want to go there.
Yeah, we were lucky because the microphone was off when he was ranting about his special teams play right before we started the show.
Yeah, well, the Dad's trip, the funny part about it was Glenn was talking about the difference between the mom's trip, and he was like, they both have a lot of fun, but they have the moms kind of have the more relaxed vibe around the rink, where the dads are, they want to check the stick curve. They want to make sure that everything's ready. They want to make sure you're ready to go for the game. So the moms just let loose and have a good time. So excited for both trips every year. It's a lot of fun.
Let's talk about the lineup tonight, Sam, because I think the big surprise was that Adam Ernie's not playing tonight. But Gully seems to suggest that was the plan all along.
Yeah, Adam Ernie will come out. Colin Blackwell, who sat last game, will come in, and that was the plan. They said it was really important for them to get Ernie a game. They mentioned right before that trip he might play on the trip. He got in the second game in Anaheim. It was important to get him that, but I'm assuming this was supposed to be kind of a slow get him back into the game where they take one after that. I'm not sure how much it's like. Remember Sagan's injury he had, where it was kind of a couldn't play back to backs and needed a game off here and there, or if it's just something they're going to need maybe 3 or 4 days of, and then he'll be back. But he'll come out, and then the only the downside, if you want to put it that way, is Nathan Bastian will sit. Now it's 8 straight games for Nathan Bastian, who hasn't come into a game. He was a little bit sick earlier, but been healthy and just been, what he talked to us on the show in the summer, and he said, I'm happy to accept that role. He knows that's a role that he would have probably had to take, but it doesn't make it any easier. And I asked Glenn Gulletson about, he said he wanted to not let guys sit, but with players like this, you're healthy again. That was the main thing he said. Look, we're happy we have to make decisions again because we've had no decisions to make. We've been looking for extra players because of injuries. Now they have a decision to make, and it's a tough decision, but you just have to be honest. And we talked a lot about being honest last year with Gulletson, with Pete DeBoer, now with Gulletson, the communication's a little bit more open. And I talked to Nate Bastian, and he said the same thing. He was like, look, he says all the right things. He communicates to me. We're very honest with each other. They know what I need to work on or what I need to do. And I just try to be a great teammate. He said, I'm very, very blessed and lucky to be a part of this good of a team. I'll get in there when I can get in there.
We're going to talk more about the difference between Gully and Pete DeBoer.
Do we have to?
On tomorrow's show. Yeah, because I have some interesting stuff that we were going to talk about this past week we didn't have time for. And that communication is very much a part of it. Sam, we'll reprise that and talk about one of your buddies, Brendan Smith, at some point tomorrow. But let's talk about Liam Bishop because you got an update on his rehab after having I believe a surgery on his ankle.
Yeah, so Glenn Gulletson said foot. I don't think they ever really specifically said it, but they did admit that it was the same injury as Nils Lundqvist. It looked like it was an ankle, but he did say foot, so
somewhere
I'm not going to commit to either one. Somewhere in there, he had a surgery. He was on the scooter. He's still not weight bearing, which means he's got about a week or so before he can even start walking and really starting to move that ankle, foot, whatever it is. But Glenn Gulletson was pretty honest. He said, which I love, again, about open communication. He said, look, I'm going to take a guess, but I think he's more right before the Olympic break or right after the Olympic break, which is in early February. I fully expect him to not come back till after the Olympic break, but good to see that he's getting close to that next step, which will allow him to start really actually rehabbing.
All right. Well, Sam, we very much appreciate your time as always. Looking forward to seeing you in the press box in about 40 minutes or so. And of course, then we'll get to talk post game.
All right. I'll get you some chocolate.
I like it. Save me some. All right. Sam Nessler over at American Airlines Center. Luds, are you at all surprised that Colin Blackwell's back in for Adam Ernie? I guess the thing for me is that Blackwell doesn't deserve to sit. He's been a really good penalty killer and role guy for this team. I just didn't think with the way that Ernie played and scored that he was going to be the one to come out.
Well, I heard a part of Gully's conversation there when I was driving here. I didn't hear the whole thing, but there was I did hear the part about Bastian. I heard that. And I also heard part of it was when Gully said something about special teams. And I actually smiled.
Would you like to hear about special teams?
I don't have to, but if you have it.
I have it ready. Here. This is one. I'm glad you brought that up because Ryan, number 3 for Stars on the penalty kills improvement after early struggles this season.
I think 5-on-5 play here has been very even for us. It's very close on a nightly basis. But our specialty teams and our goaltending have been the difference. And you can see, with the record that came is really the acceleration of the penalty kill and how, it started off a little rocky and then Nazi did a great job of, he's got a lot of experience and it's been a great penalty kill for years. And he was steady through it all, got them right back on the rails. The guys have done a heck of a job. And it's one of the biggest reasons, the record has been as good as it has for the last bit. It's just all 3 of those things have been real strong.
Okay, so here I go throwing people under the bus again. I'm happy about it because it seems that they have figured out that sometimes the best players aren't the guys that should be out there killing penalties. And so when I heard, we're going to get Blackie in, and again, for Toronto, even though they're struggling a little bit there, but it's a team that can score. So the bottom line is they have finally come around to saying, okay, here are our penalty killers.
Yes.
And they're not those guys up there.
The power play guys.
Which is good, because they need a rest every once in a while, and you don't want them getting hit by a couple of bombs from outside and getting a little boo-boo every once in a while. So, Blackie's coming in because him and Steele have been a good pair. And again, that's and Fox has been good. To me, those are the three guys, and I know there's other guys, obviously there's 4 or 5, but those are the 3 main ones for me that now they're going, these are good penalty killers. They're not afraid to get into shot lanes. They understand how we are structure-wise at our end of the rink and things like that. And like I said, there's no reason to put Wyatt out there. There's no reason to put Rope out there. It's nice to know that you can have them, especially if you're down a goal late in the game. Let's throw them out there. Maybe, you can create a little bit more anxiety from the power play guys because you don't take as many chances. And then the anticipation of those kind of guys picking passes off are obviously different than others because they're geared to go north. And so that was the part that I had a little smile on my face because, and again, whether they were actually thinking about using those guys or just wanted to put them in those roles in case they need them later in games when they're down, that's good.
Let's talk about the good, and then we'll get into the Maple Leafs, the bad, lately anyway. Glenn Gulson was pretty happy with the Stars game against the Anaheim Ducks. As you would expect, they win 8-3, right? There's also you won the second night of a back-to-back with travel. Again, they've done it 5 times now, winning the second game of their back-to-backs, and they've only lost one of their first, which was that game against the New York Rangers at MSG, where they lost the lead late and lost in overtime. Well, here's what he had to say when Mike Heika was asking Gully this morning about the execution of offense, saying there were some really pretty goals. Here's what Gully had to say. It was an interesting answer.
They executed well. I saw some of Joel's comments just saying, that they executed plays, and I thought we executed at a high level, and we've been harping at that too. I can't tell you how many video sessions or talks we've had. Hey, execute here, execute. There's plays to be made, and I thought our guys have been doing a real good job of that. And like I said, we don't create a 1,000 chances. We don't take 100 whacks at the net, but we can execute when we create good looks.
The word execution is the biggest word you can use in this game, and generally it is more important for certain players than it is for others. And when it comes to scoring goals, when it comes to the power play, the execution of that. I mean, it comes to execution of everything for players before you get to the net. But the guys that have to score the goals, and the reason that they're scoring the goals offensively, I'm talking about now, is because they understand execution. Not only do they understand it, they're just good at it.
And they've repeatedly talked about how, and I didn't clip it because we already have too many clips for Ryan anyway, but Jason Robertson was talking today and it said, the most important thing is where those shots are coming from, what areas, and the willingness to go to those places. And you love hearing a goal scorer talk about it, not saying, oh, we're floating around. He goes, we don't just shoot for the sake of shooting. And he even repeated we're not shooting at the blue line, which might just be a possession change. We're actually looking for something better than that. And then the other day we talked on the show and you had asked me to ask Gully a question about shot volume versus and who in the lineup should be making those types of plays versus just getting it to the net. And it wasn't, hey guys, you're all good, everybody start dancing and dangling. It was no. There are certain guys we're okay with, other ones. But even Robo said this morning, there are some players, or there's some instances within our periods where we could probably shoot 1 or 2 more, whether it's for another rebound or just to cause some chaos in front of their net.
Well, again, I think when you talk about a rebound, the POP play, the puck off pad, and I think that's a skilled play too from the shooter's standpoint. But you got to hit the goaltender in that fire pad in the right spot so it bounces out in front of the net. And again, the skilled guys are generally those guys who are going to do that because they get it to come out in the right areas. The third, fourth line guys especially, they just want to make sure they get pucks on net for the most part because they got their other 2 wingers or forwards are crashing the net to do it. So, yeah, I think I felt there were times when the bottom 6 were trying to play like the top 6 from the hash marks or the top of the circles down too much, where they just got to be a little bit more direct.
Well, it's appropriate that the Dallas Cowboys, it's appropriate that the Toronto Maple Leafs, the NHL team that we most frequently compare to the Cowboys as far as the attention, the media circus, the fan passion, and not necessarily always the postseason success, that the Leafs are the opponent today because today the Cowboys lose to officially get eliminated from the playoffs. Let's talk about the Maple Leafs and what's their latest circus show next here on the DLLS Stars Pregame Show.
You always tee me up.
I do.
Let's talk about their circus show. Can we pull up our hat collection? Like, from the standpoint of delivery of our hats, it's a bit of a circus show, which has nothing to do with how great these hats are.
No, they're great.
But that's what's pissing me off, because I want them here because they're good. But now the good news is nobody cares about this, but Owen has an update. He's already cracked my security on my computer, my emails. He's getting all my information now. That they're going to be here, just not for Christmas, not for a Christmas present, but they're going to be here at some point. So,
yes.
But they're beautiful hats. Let's just move on. I'm done. The Cadillac hat we can slide out a little bit, but the green and the white one, and I'm feeling all 4 fins tonight again. I'm just saying, I'm calling on all 4 of them again. I think all 4 will get on the score sheet tonight.
All right.
So there's our Finnish Mafia.
The
shirt.
Mafia has been
Dude,
called
do we have
out.
our professional model yet? Is he in the queue? No, the guy that went rolling off the chair the other night. Okay. Oh, it's in the other studio.
Yeah,
he's in the big studio. We're in the closet today.
Let's talk about the YouTube Supporters Club very briefly before we get back into our pregame show discussions of the Toronto Maple Leafs, because if you haven't already, an extra layer of fun, a sicko level type of thing, is to become a Supporters Club member. You get a special badge. That's right, Harry. You love your badges. And, of course, all the exclusive emojis. This is for in the YouTube chat while we do our shows live. This is not part of the Die Hard. This is just a little bit extra. And we have a lot of fun with them. And there are some exclusive content videos that we do every few weeks. Of course, the other shows here at DLS do as well. But if you want to sign up to be part of the Supporters Club, check out the link that Ryan will probably put in the chat at some point, because it is fun to stand out if you're in the chat with your badge, your emojis, and all that implies. Okay, so let's talk about one more Stars positive and then get into the Leafs. Thomas Harley. We all thought he looked pretty good against the Ducks, starting to look healthy after dealing with an injury and missing some time. Well, Glenn Gulletson agrees with us.
I thought it was his best game. Just his take charge level, his intensity level. I thought he found the right range for himself. But the biggest thing for me is just how much he's using his legs to create. You know, one time he goes around the net there, he loses a checker. He passes Adam Ernie up the middle, we get a little rush, and he makes a change. Just little things like that are big. I think it was +5 on the night, but you could see that he was a force out there.
Well, was that? Who was critiquing our sitting? Or
it was probably Ryan. When Sam's here, the 3 of us are in a certain spot, and I sat in the same. I was way too far away from you, so we have to be. We're not afraid of each other.
When Sam's not here, we take the booster chair and put it over.
That's
there
right.
In the
It's like when the high chair has the extra little thing in it. Luds, the fact that Harley's going after it, as Gully said, the aggressiveness and using his legs,
assertiveness.
I just feel like because whatever lower body injury he was dealing with was affecting his ability to use his lower half to drive plays like that, to be assertive.
Is that what the reason is now?
You don't think? You think it was between the ears?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
I do. I think there was a couple of distractions, and I think and not his fault. I just think you're coming off a season where everything is unicorns and rainbows and all, whatever the saying.
Smiles and sunshine, and
a contract and four nations, and you're going to be on the Olympic team. And sometimes you just have to start all over and say, you know what, that year's gone. I got to start from the beginning. And yes, I'm sure an injury or sickness had a little bit to do with it, but when you make some of the decisions that he was making, that had nothing to do with lower body. Those were poor decisions. Those were things that I thought that he felt he could get away with, where he wasn't even trying to do that stuff. He's not the Miro guy. He's the Thomas Harley guy. And now what he is, he's assertive. He's skating. He's passing the puck like he was. He's taking I don't want to say chances in the offensive zone, but he's a guy that can lose people in the offensive zone, and he can make good plays once he gets behind the net offensively, and he's got a great shot. He's got an eye to find lanes to get pucks through. I think he's one of the best defensemen on this team that can do that. So this is the Thomas Harley we know.
All right, we have a super chat to get to. Let's do that now here. From all the way from Sweden, we have Patrick Bylock with a, I have no idea, the Luds might actually, this is the scary part, 200 Swedish krona to US dollars without Googling it. But anyway, so I don't even have a Stars jersey because nobody wears 200, but
I said it's about $10.
You think so? All right.
No,
We'll take a look in a second. But he said Dallas wins 6-1. Merry Christmas from Sweden. Merry Christmas, Patrick. Thank you for that. 6-1, Luds.
I don't know.
That's what he's calling. He's scored tonight. That's out of the question against this Maple Leafs team?
Very much so. What do you mean by what's out of the question?
His Patrick's prediction being 6-1 Dallas tonight.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that bad. You're going to get some pushback from a team that's had some struggles. And as a matter of fact, some of the guys that have the biggest struggles, you speak about, again, we know Matthews, Tavares, Nylander. Those guys all in their careers are over a point per game against Dallas in their careers. So you expect those three guys to probably step up to the plate a little bit. And, they're up against it right now. And they haven't been doing so well their last 5 games or so. So
they have not.
They're I expect a better game from them tonight.
So I just looked it up, and then in the chat, Cuff, and then Ryan texted me. It's a Jason Robertson, the super chat, because it's $21.57.
Did I say $10?
You said 10, so you're off by a factor of 2, but not far off. So that's 200 Swedish krona. Thank you, Patrick, by the way. Appreciate it. Here's Glenn Gulletson on trying to face the Maple Leafs tonight.
Well, you look through their roster, their 4 centers, Tavares and Lawton and Matthews and Roy. They're that's a strong lineup as 4 centers you're going to get. You look at their goaltending save percentages. Both goaltenders are playing good. Every team gets in a little funk. They're in one a little bit here and there. But that's a heck of a team over there. They pose some challenges. Obviously, the explosive offensively, Matthews and Nylander, 2 of the best players in the world, and they have it all. You just don't want them to get it going when you're playing them. But they're a great team.
Okay, coach speak, being polite. Yeah, there's a tough challenge. Luds has said this all before. Let's talk about how off the rails the Leafs have been in the last week and a half or so. And it's not that bad. They're a 500 hockey team, right?
They're right at the bottom of the
But
East.
they're literally the second worst team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
They're 14th. Only Columbus is less, and they have 1 point less than the Leafs. But they're a 500 hockey team. Every month they've been right around the 500 mark. And they're 18 points back of the Dallas Stars because the Dallas Stars are just like the Colorado Avalanche and the Minnesota Wild are way outperforming expectations. I think we all expected them to be good, maybe not this good, but that's what happens if you're a 500 team in the NHL right now. These gaps are just massive. And Luds,
but see, their concerns are different because in the East, they're all like that. That whole side is like that. So they don't have to worry about the West. They don't look at it and go, oh my God, look how far we're behind Colorado and Dallas and Minnesota. Because when you go ahead and you look at the standings in the East, no one's really out of it. They're all kind of, even Buffalo.
Kekalainen, their new GM, said he thinks they can make the playoffs.
Well, that's what he's supposed to say.
He's supposed to, if he came out and said, well, Buffalo's won 5 in a row now.
Yeah.
The Leafs have lost 2 in a row, including last night against the Nashville Predators. They had a lead 1-0 and then 2-1. They gave up a iffy 4-on-4 goal that Craig Berube wasn't happy with right in the last minute of the second period. Gave up a gorgeous goal from Luke Evangelista in the third, and then held on with a couple empty netters to win. They have lost 2 in a row. They've been outscored 9-3 in those 2 games. They got embarrassed by the Washington Capitals 4-0 the other night. And they're 1-3-1 in their last 5. So it's not as though they haven't had a win in like a month, but I want you to hear what Nick Waugh had to say about them playing not to lose rather than playing to win.
It's tough. There's definitely a shift we got to do mentally where You never want to play not to lose. You want to play to win, so not sit back. I think play our game, impose our game. I think we're playing a little too much. We don't want to lose, so we're just waiting for them to come at us, and then we react from there. So just gotta be more confident. Come back to our game.
Now, you'll hear that a lot. Oh, we're sitting on our heels. We're not doing it. And people go, well, why are you doing that? Well, he had actually, I think, was expansion of that in the next question was quite interesting.
Well, I mean, most of the time it's just when we have the lead, you don't want to give up a goal, which is why you don't take as many risks. You have good numbers coming back, but also what happens is you leave the outside alone, so you spend more time in the defensive zone, so you don't want that as well. So you got to attack more. You got to keep bringing pressure, so you can spend more time in the offensive zone. It's not dangerous when you're there to get scored on. So just got to play the same game when we got the lead.
I thought that was interesting, that his follow-up saying you play a little tighter in your D zone, but then the teams stay in your zone a little bit longer because the outside is open. There's more to it than that, isn't there?
Well, you generally hear that kind of stuff coming from third and fourth line players because that's what the coach has been preaching, right? So they say that, and it's interesting that that's who's doing the interviews right now, and it's because their top guys aren't doing anything.
No.
I mean, the last 10 games, Nylander, I don't think has a goal. Tavares has got 1 or 2 goals, so it's their top guy. Matthews has been okay; he's got 5, but their top guards haven't done anything most recently, and so that's where they got to get more from them because the coaches. He's saying exactly what the coach is preaching. We got to better. They've given up 20 goals in their last 5 games, so they've got to be better in their own zone, especially when guys dry up. It's what happens. But if you have a foundation of being able to defend and support your goaltenders, you can at least hang into games longer.
Well, Craig Berube made waves on Thursday night after the Washington loss he said that they had more passion. The Caps, they wanted it more, and when the follow-up question of, do you have, why? He goes, oh, don't ask me, ask the guys in the room. Well, after the Nashville game last night, it seems like Matthews and Berube maybe were sending different signals about their team play.
Well, I think that's a product of just where the team is mental.
Yeah, it is. It's mental for sure. We got to get through it.
You guys before you were talking about how difficult it is mentally right now. What's your sense of the group mentally right now?
I mean, I think mentally we're fine. I thought tonight, as it is losing, like I said, I thought the process was better. I thought we had good energy all night.
Now, to be fair, we don't know the order of this interviews and what they come up here with, right? So generally the coach is interviewed after.
Players first, then coach last. Yeah.
Coaches. So Matthews did not hear the comment that Berube did.
Right.
Right. So it's not like, because I when I first heard this, I'm like, oh, stirring the pot a little bit here, are we? And then I went, nah, that's probably not what it is. But when you're in the fishbowl, that's what they do, is they sit there and they listen to the reporters. And speaking of the Dallas Cowboys being out, wait till all the reporters show up now in the Stars room.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? The Cowboys.
There'll be a
and it was
more.
our biggest thing all the time. And all of a sudden, we got our 3 reporters there, and then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, we got 25 guys, and you're like, oh, the Cowboys got knocked out. Did they? They've done more than Super Bowls. Here you guys all are. Season's over. So good luck, guys. They're all going to be at your door.
I love that you've experienced this firsthand.
when you're in that city, those things just, reporters are finding a way to spin it. We know how that all works. The good news is it doesn't happen around here like that with the guys that are generally reporting on this team.
The lines for the Leafs tonight are exactly, Ryan, what we guessed, with Max Domi and Steven Lorenz coming back in. Easton Cowan and Calle Yarncroke will get the night off after playing last night. There's Nick Robertson on the third line. Luds, this is the first time we've seen the Toronto Maple Leafs since the offseason move where Mitch Marner was traded to Vegas. Now, of course, Marner wasn't going to re-sign, and the Leafs weren't. They were at odds. But when you look at this forward group compared to when Marner was there, it does look different.
I think there's been a memo sent out to all the reporters in Toronto that they do not get to ask about Marner
anymore.
They do not want to hear about it because there's no question they're missing him. They're missing him on their power play. Their power play is no good. Where they're excelling, actually, I think they're better than Dallas is 5-on-5. 5-on-5 play is good for them. Their special teams aren't great, but Marner is severely missing in this lineup right here. I will be interested to see how Ty plays tonight. Yeah, he got sat out last game.
You mean Max, not Ty?
Yeah. Should I say Ty?
You said Ty.
When I see Domi, I think it's Ty.
Of course. Well, you played against Ty.
Yeah, and because when you saw him, you're like, oh shit, I'm gonna. I'm gonna get off the ice here. Because it'll be interesting to see how Max plays. He's gonna have a burr up there, and he's gonna. I'm just curious what the over/under is in penalties. So he takes.
A couple things to throw out really quickly as we wrap it up. Frank Vetrano was fined $5,000 for unsportsmanlike conduct, the maximum allowable for what he did when he was eventually basically thrown out in the third period, going after Jason Robertson in the Anaheim game. Oscar Beck will play his 100th career NHL game tonight. He has 22 points, 7 goals, 15 assists, and a +7 so far as a 2018 third-round pick right here in Dallas. And this will be game number 100 for him. And then Luds, Rope Hintz, 500th career NHL game. He was a second-round pick back in 2015, and he has been incredible. I know we're nitpicky because we see what he can do when he's really going and how much of a difference he can make, and you want to see it every shift and every night, and that's not easy to do, even for a guy with his speed, but legit number one center for this team.
How many years of seasons is this now for Rope?
Official seasons? I have to look because he went up and down a little bit during his first couple of years pro. He was with the Texas Stars a little bit, but overall, this will be his 8th season.
So 8 seasons, and on how many games has he missed total? Well, you don't have to
well,
do that.
That's
I'm just looking at the games played and goal, the points. If Hintz is healthy through his years, and he's 90 points shy of being a point per game guy
because of injury. Believe it or not, he's had his injuries.
But if he misses 4 or 5 games a year,
times
8 is 40 games.
He's played 80 twice.
So there's another 40 or 50 points in there.
Yeah,
somewhere. So
maybe.
I mean, he's close to a point per game player.
Yeah, and
over his career,
he's been good. You mentioned all 4 fins,
and he makes such a big difference when he's on the ice with his speed and how he backs people off. And now we're seeing. I think this is the best I've seen him. Playmaking ability, the passes and things from all over the ice, coming from behind the net and things like that. I just think he's playing great now, and hopefully he stays healthy all year.
Finally, there's the Leafs defense and goaltending, and Dennis Hildeby will get the start. Joseph Wall went yesterday. Anthony Stolarz is still on IR. Hildeby played pretty well. He didn't get a lot of help against the Caps. Wall played last night against the Nashville Predators, and they've been moving things around because of some injuries, and they claimed Troy Stetcher. And what do you think about their back end?
I look at Stetcher, Benoit. Ekman Larsson was probably their best defenseman up until a few games ago. He hasn't been that great. Riley, to me, seems to have stepped it up. So Ekman Larsson has kind of went back a little bit. I think Riley's gone up. But otherwise, overall, they don't have a defense score like Dallas does.
They're missing Chris Tanev, who's out injured. Yeah. And, of course, Brendan Carlo was the guy they added thinking he'd be in there, and he's hurt. So a couple of pieces there, but Stars looking for an opportunity to get another win and keep on rolling, and they have struggled against the Leafs head-to-head. In fact, last year, it was January of this year, but last season, they won in Toronto 4-1. It snapped a 7-game straight-up losing skid to Toronto, and they haven't won a game, Luds, against Toronto in Dallas since January of 2017. They just really struggle against this team.
Well, and when you're here tonight, I got out of the car and all the people walking by with the Leaf jerseys on, and they were yelling at me, but they said, "Please don't beat up us, it's too bad." And I'm like, I don't know, it hasn't happened lately. So, but there's going to be a lot of blue jerseys in the stands tonight.
Yep, and if they get off to a lead, we'll see how the Stars come roaring back or not. Should be a fun one tonight. We'll be here for the post-game show right after the game. Don't forget to check us out right here on our YouTube channel. For Craig Ludwig, for Sam Nestler over at the AAC, for our producer Ryan Vaughters, I'm Owen Newkirk. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you right after the game here on DLLS.
I believe that they are going to crush these guys tonight.
We all silly like the mayor.